Membero dzangu dzazove pedo muchandishambadza kunge zigo tichakudanai kumabiko.
Ladies and gentlemen, the interview that you all have been waiting for. Let me wear my glasses. I can't do anything without wearing my glasses. The People's General, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I draw a lot of inspiration from you because if you remember, I used to call myself Zigo only. And then I came here, I saw you in the streets and I saw, Shellers, the People's General. And I just thought, why can't I name myself Zigo, the People's Journalist?
All right, yeah. So I was the People's Journalist.
Yes.
It's a good thing, yeah.
Because I think if you affiliate yourself with
the people, yes.
The people, they tend to have a soft spot for you. So where did that idea of calling yourself the People's General come from?
Okay. So generally it started from the nickname was the General, right? It was politically inspired. Teaching MDC, you know, when we were still in the MDC, you remember there are factions in the party or there are groups and so on. So we were a faction which we were calling ourselves General. So everyone would be saying General Shellers because our faction leader then, who was vying for youth chairperson, was the former member of parliament from Avuku, Honorable James Chiyangwa.
Okay.
So he was our general, you know. So everyone who was supporting him then was called a general. So then I became a general because of that. And now coming to the work that I do, now, you know, very connected with the people and all, I would call myself the general, and you know, some other people, particularly the local Xhosa people, are the ones who started to say, you are the People's General because for what you do for your Zimbabwean people, you are the People's General. So that's how it was coined, you know, general, and then eventually becoming the People's General.
So actually it's the Xhosa people who actually saw the work that you are doing for Zimbabwean people.
Yes. So remember, when you are a community leader, then you interact with locals as well. So it was the local Xhosa people really that saw the work I was doing for our people here in PE, who ended up saying, General, General Band. So you are the People's General, and that's where it came from.
And then when they see you online, you know, if you are a social media figure, a lot of people, they only get what they see. But if I'm going to come up close and I just want to understand who is Shelton Chiyangwa, how would you describe yourself?
All right. Yeah, so Shelton Chiyangwa is it's a very ordinary person. I just turned 40, but I'm a very, very ordinary person. I was born and bred in Chiyangwa, and that's where I grew up, in very humble background, in a very small family in Chiyangwa, and that's where I attended my primary and high school. And obviously, I did not go for any tertiary education because of various reasons. I lost my parents when I was very young, just after O-level. And thereafter, I had to start to hustle, you know. And I took up different types of hustle, which I'll probably be talking about later. But that's who I am. And when things got really bad in the country, I then followed others, like many other young people who were coming to South Africa. And I came here and continued with my hustle. 2010, I got married, and right now I'm happily married with 2 kids. So that's the People's General.
And when you mentioned Chiyangwa, I can't help but think a lot of people are not fonera. You talk off an Java, you talk off an Iwa, you talk off even great people like an Amache. So did Kuram Chiyangwa have an influence on the type of person that you turned out to be?
Chiyangwa is a very big community, or it's a very big town, if I can put it, which had which housed or which had a lot of people that came from Chitungweza. And we saw a lot of things growing up in Chitungweza, and things that we saw would push you to become ambitious. You know, I remember when we were renting our one-room house at one time, one room where we were renting with my parents. We were staying in the same street with the System Tashida. You know, there was a time we stayed in the same street with System Tashida, and there were times System Tashida and that Chazesa Challenge would do their rehearsals in that street because it was a closed street, so it didn't have many activities. So at times they would do their rehearsals there, and so you growing up, you become ambitious. You become to like things. You become exposed to a lot of things. I grew up, as I was saying, exposed to a lot of people that were doing things. Not very far from where we were staying in the same street with System Tajida. Just a stone throw away were the Maendere residents, and Minister Maendere, Michael and Amos. We grew up seeing them, and they were doing things during their days as youth, and you start to be motivated and inspired that if some young people are doing this, I'm sure I can also find my own space where I can do things. So it was that kind of a setup, in Chitungweza, where you had a lot of people doing things. I remember there was also a guy who was doing cricket. He was very short. His name is Miss. He never really made it to the national team, but we used to see him coming with white people at their house, and being sponsored to do quite a lot of activities. So that's Chitungweza for you. And I think when I look back at that kind of a background, I really see that. I think that is where I drew the inspiration of wanting to be somebody or doing something in the future, and hence I am today here.
And maybe if you are comfortable to talk about this, a few days ago you shared an experience of how you lost your mother.
Okay.
Yes, and I think I relate with that because I never really lost a relative who is very close. When you just heard about a funeral, maybe it's your uncle, a distant uncle. And 2 to 3 years ago, that's when I lost my father, and I related with what you were writing about. Did you get at least a chance maybe for your parents to see you achieve at least some of the little things that you wanted to achieve whilst they were still alive?
You see, unfortunately not. And this is what breaks my heart, because I lost my mother, just after my O-level, because I finished my O-level in 2000, and in August 2001, I then lost my mother. I'm still trying to figure out what can I do with life. My mother was disappointed that I didn't make it. I didn't come up with very good grades with my O-level, because I failed my O-level dismally. I had a string of D's. I'm very proud to say these things. I don't shy away, but I had to work myself hard.
English, you had which grade?
I had D. I had a string of D and 1 C in Sean.
So how did you become so fluent in English?
You hustle. Even having to speak to people, you have to hustle. You have to put you have to put a lot of effort for you to be able to relate with people, particularly when the language is important. Yes. So when I spoke about the death of my mother, it is something that keeps breaking my heart every time I think of my mother when it is my birthday and on the day that she passed on.
And on Mother's Day.
Yeah, and on Mother's Day. Yeah, so remember my parents had separated, and I grew up being taken care of by a single parent with my mother. And my mother raised me from, working very hard, and I never lacked. I saw her struggling quite a lot, taking up cross-border trading, being a vendor, and so many things that she did, and so that she ensures I get everything that I needed. And because she was the only person whom I was looking up to, and then she dies at a point where I failed my O-level. You know,
Yes.
I do not have a job and I'm trying to work very hard in trying to supplement my subjects, because in August I was now looking forward to be writing my other exams in November, you know, and maybe then start to have to do something and be able to take care of her. And then she passed on. It was a moment of darkness for me. And I was sharing with people a few days ago to say, you know, when people hear about somebody who has passed on,
Yes.
they cry, you know, we've lost a parent, we've lost a sister or somebody. But I was crying for a lot of mixed things.
Yes.
My crying was what is going to become of me. My mother didn't have a house. We were renting a one room. She didn't have any properties. She didn't have any savings and so on. And you look also at your family and you think, what is going to become of me? Because this was my only pillar of strength. So it was really a moment of darkness for me. And I think of her quite a lot. I've achieved a few things in my life, which I think, I pray and I was hoping that God would have preserved her to just be able to see and witness what all your efforts have made me to, have done and have put me to be where I am today. But unfortunately, she is not there. And what also breaks my heart most is that I was there when she was buried. I know where she was. I saw where she was buried, but I can't find it anymore.
Yeah, that's it. Was in the rural areas.
No, it was in Chiyangwa. In the gravesite at Seke South Cemetery, because I was young. Remember, I was young, and there was no way I could have, at that age, go to the burial site to always have a look at it and maybe maintain it. Also, and I also didn't have money to buy a tombstone then and all that. And there was no one from the family who
took it serious
to go there and maintain the grave and so on. And as I then started working, your mind is also occupied with a lot of things and you don't think about it. At a time when I then started thinking closely and more about it, tried to locate it, I couldn't find it because of many burials that have. And that is one also issue that breaks my heart a lot, because I think she couldn't witness what I've become today, but at least I could afford to buy a tombstone for her and be able to put it there in honor of the great work that she has done. So I still appeal to the authorities at Chiyangwa South Cemetery if they can be able to assist me to locate my mother's grave.
Yeah, I think they keep some sort of a register. Not sure if they are competent enough to do that, but I'm sure they do keep. But I really understand when you say some of the things that you have achieved right now, you wish that if she was alive, she would. I think most of the people who are watching this video who actually lost their parents, that is one of the things that they really, if time could be, you could rewind time if you could go back in time.
Yeah, particularly not only about what I have become, but particularly about the work that I do. Because reflecting as I grew up, or now I grew up, I saw her helping a lot of people. My mother was helping a lot of people. There were times I would be coming back from school and get into the house and find out that there's no food. And I will ask her, but why isn't there any lunch for me? She says, someone was passing through the street and she was hungry. So I took the food and I gave it to him so you can make a plan. And I've seen her helping quite a lot of people in the family, in the community, and in various ways. And that is exactly what I would have really wanted her to witness about me, because I take pride in helping our people quite a lot.
Okay, so tell me a little about the decision to come and stay in South Africa. Was it inspired by poverty or by 2008 disturbances or peer pressure?
I wouldn't say it was peer pressure, but economic hardship. So then I started working in Zimbabwe, right, at a funeral parlor where I was a mortician, taking care of dead bodies at a very young age. So as I was working,
how old were you when you say young age?
I think I was 20 or 21.
Yeah.
I started working at a funeral parlor, washing dead bodies every day at the age of 20. Yeah. So as I was working, you make your few savings and so on, and then I started my own side hustle, and I opened a tuck shop. Right, you call it a spaza shop in South Africa, but it was a tuck shop, and that is when I had my first employee who was working in that tuck shop. So
I remember you shared a picture.
Yeah, so the side hustle, and I'm still going to work, and I was hoping that I would probably expand and have another outlet and so on and so on. And then Murambachina happened.
2004.
2005.
So
Murambachina happened, and the tuck shop was demolished, and I now had to be depending on that very only salary as an undertaker, and we were not really getting paid much. I remember I was very young and naive, and desperate as well. So when people started, and this is when people started really going to South Africa, and I realized this was really not working. And I asked one of my aunts, and I said, Mom Zinin, I want to go with you because things are not okay. And she says, no, you can, you have a passport and you can apply for a visa. Because then we had visas, so you had to. That's what I did. It was really economic hardships. Things were not adding up. And after Murambachina happened, Murambachina happens. You don't have a house of your own. You are even Kwadai Roja Kwacho. It was also demolished because the flats were demolished. My boys Kaya. So I ended up moving to a family home of my other aunt. So because of that, you become a burden to people. And I thought, let me just cross the board and go hustle with others.
And Murambachina really displaced people because 2004 I was grade 4, and then 2005 Murambachina happened, and it left us kumosha. Or to transfer about So now in South Africa, did you just come and start working some white collar jobs or dig a trend?
It was a long journey. So coming to South Africa, my mom said to me, you can't just go to South Africa and start looking for a job. I advise you that you look for money, you stock your things that you can come and sell. Because she was also doing buying and selling of things, buying things from Zimbabwe and selling them here. So I would show you things that you must buy and, stock up and all that. So when we came here, I had stocked my basket, my picnic baskets, my seat covers, So arriving in South Africa, particularly in PE, we started by selling things, And then she introduced us to say, you can also go and restock in Johannesburg and come and sell here, So this is what I started really doing every other time when I came back, when I came here. Selling stuff, going to Joburg, restocking and coming here to sell. And that's how I even got to learn local languages, because when you are selling, you are speaking English with them. When you come to look for your money, they are now speaking closer, or they are now speaking Afrikaans, and I had to learn the language the hard way.
How many languages do you speak here?
Xhosa and a bit of that Afrikaans.
Yes, because I are fluent.
Big time. So it came a time where that the business was really not so viable, and there were so many young people that had come at that time who were now considering taking up jobs, because really at that time people were not really interested in taking up jobs anyway. So then my mother said, if you want, to take up a job, murungu wangu andoshandira, she was working, she's a domestic worker, murungu wangu andoshandira ari kuda munhu anogadzira pamba pake. If you want to do that as a garden boy. And I said, yes, I don't mind, as long as there is money. you know. So I remember it was in was it in Malabo or something where this guy, that Muslim guy, was staying.
Yes.
But me being me, you know, you know, I took my worksuit that I put in a bag, but I dressed so well,
Yes.
you know, decent to go to work as a gardener. You know, so, and I was very thin and tiny then. So when I got there, this guy, his name is Raj, says to me, you are the one who Stella says you've come for the gardening job.
Yes.
And I said, yes. He says, no, you can't. With what you are wearing, then you can't do this job. And I said, no, don't worry. Say I have my worksuit, you know,
Yes,
and my safety shoes. Says, no, I want to see that. So I took off my clothes and I put on the worksuit, and I said, because he was already starting to doubt me and he wanted actually to send me away, but I needed the man. But he saw me wearing the worksuit and says, no, you can do it. So he then later came in the afternoon and he says to me, I don't think this is yours. This is what you can do. I own a paint shop and hardware. I think I'm going to ask you to work in my paint and hardware shop, because the way you came here in the morning,
yes.
I don't think that this is yours. So that's how I got my first job. After the gardener job, I then was taken up to work in the paint and hardware shop, where I learned to tint paints, so I can mix paints. Oh, there's nothing I don't know about paints, and yeah.
Your story can actually make a good motivational story.
Yeah, but there's nothing that I also did not do. I stood on robots looking for a job. I always say there's a church. One day I'll take you in Bethel's job. I'll take you at a church where I worked. I was picked from the robots by a guy who was doing plumbing. I remember that church was built and plumbing was not done, so they had to do that plumbing. And I would never forget that experience that I had. Because the first job duty that I was given was, he just put a circle on the wall, which was a double wall of first brick.
Yes.
Very big wall. And he gave me a chisel in the arm. He says, I want a big wall like this. You know, and I spent the entire day, he was insulting me, but I kept that job, and I kept going back to that job for about 2 months until the plumbing is done. And whenever I look at that church, I see God.
And when you talk about being insulted at work, 2018 I was on attachment. I remember my supervisor would insult me. So after you're insulted, you know, I mean, you cannot show that you are really hate. You'd just to go to the toilet and you go study someone's by glass in toilet. I'm so
yes. Yeah, I went through that. After that plumbing job, I was hired by some other Zimbabweans who were doing construction. I can't mention their names, but I always see them even until now. Yo, they abused me, those guys. I was a darker boy, you know. Yo.
So by that time,
but I think it made me stronger.
It made you strong.
Yeah.
And when you talk about abuse, being abused at work, whether by a Zimbabwean, I saw your videos where there was a Zimbabwean who was actually making people leave. I think 40 guys from Joburg. All those issues of abuse. I'm trying to connect how you came into the work that you are doing now, representing migrants, Zimbabweans in prisons, people being abused in foreign lands. How did you get there now?
Yeah, so this is when I talk about when people see me cry, they just don't understand what motivates or why. I'm not a crybaby. Yeah.
I'm not a drama.
Yeah, and people think that I'll be drama. I'll be staging it. It's so real. Humanitarian work is real. The reason why I toned down on politics and started taking up humanitarian work so serious is because humanitarian work is real. Humanitarian work, you are dealing with real issues affecting people. With politics, you are lying to people. You are selling people heaven on earth. You know, but with humanitarian work, it's so real. So at times, it's very easy for me to relate with my experience. that issue of those guys who were made to work for 2-3 weeks and paid 50 rand and they were not given any food and so on. I related it to, a lot of things that I went through. Things such as those Zimbabwean guys that I worked for at one time who abused me, who, because I was a darker boy, would say, when it's raining, who need kanya and all that. But I went because I had no option. And when it comes to paying you again, they will tell you, but 2 hours, 1 hour, then they don't pay you enough. So I relate so much with that, and that is where I drew the inspiration of wanting to be an advocate for human rights and fight for the rights of our people. I was abused by the colored guy I worked for plumbing. That guy would insult me for no reason. For no reason. And I vowed to say, if I've went through this, if I've gone through this, I would never wish this to happen to anyone. I worked at a company at one time, I won't mention the name of the company, where we were doing car parts and so on, where if one is late, you would swear at them with the F words, you'd tell people that you are a dandahead, you're foolish, you are crazy, and so on. So I vowed. At that company, I was the very first person to join the union. And after I joined the union, I caused many other people from that company to join. So it is because of that past that when I'm dealing with issues, at times it relates to my past and I just end up crying. And people say, he's a crybaby. Hey, he's staging. I don't know what.
It's actually strange with people, they would just notice your tears only. Hey, baba vanongo tsvaga pangoreka nyaya then overwachema then vatoita mari, but they don't look at the victim kuti awana here assistance mono, the life has it been impacted. Could you say you are really impacting lives?
I'm proud to say that I'm impacting so much positive change in people's lives. I'm changing quite a lot of lives. I'm not one who beats my own drum. But, a few days ago, I was just saying to myself, even if I'm no longer in South Africa or I'm no longer on this earth, I do not need anybody to tell me that there is so much I've done for the people of Zimbabwe living in South Africa.
Yes.
I would want to just pat myself on the back and say, I have done well. I'm not obviously a superhuman being, I've got my flaws. Yes, I've got things that I also do not do right, and there are people that have been maybe disappointed by me and so on. But overall, I have done so well for our people. I've done so much for our people, and I'm proud of myself.
Yes, and then you focus on Zimbabweans in prisons, particularly South African prisons. And recently you visited my Titi in Harare.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, why do you sympathize with a convicted criminal? And I think that is the same that you have been doing here in South Africa, because these people, they are convicted. Why would you want to help people who are in prisons, particularly for crimes that they have committed? Do you feel like they need your help?
Yeah, so I'm a Christian. When I respond to you on this one, let me say that I'm a Christian and I'm also a leader in church. And the Bible encourages us to pray even for those who are in prison, right? Paul says that I was in prison, right? So you are encouraged by the word of God to pray and to think and care for those that are in prison, right? Now, I never wanted to do this work for prisons.
Yes.
Right? But I was inspired by a certain lady I met at a prison at one time, which I then thought it is important really to support the people that are in prison, no matter the crimes they have committed. So I had a friend whom I called a young brother who was arrested and was detained at St. Albans prison, right?
Yes.
This guy is in prison for some time, and whenever I go visit, there's this woman I'm always meeting there. And this woman is loaded with a lot of things every other time. I've got a few things. This woman is loaded. New techies, tracksuits, food, And one day I asked it, who are you here to see? And this woman says to me, I'm here to see my brother. And I said, what did your brother do? This is my brother, my friend, and brother, one day stolen vehicle, And this woman says to me, brother, she's a local. Our brother killed our father brutally. Brutally. Chopped our father's head. I mean, how many times? And in front of our mother. And for some years, for more than 3-4 years, nobody wanted to see him and visit him and so on. But she says that 11-year-old daughter asked her to say, so the entire family has rejected Uncle Banman because of what he did. Do you know that God might have forgiven this guy? The lawyers dealt with him. He is in prison. Why are you not seeing him? I wish that I would grow up one day and be able to get man. I will go and see him myself. She said this was a turnaround for her. And she decided, who is she to judge? She has not killed the father, but she's also a sinner.
Yes.
I've not committed any crime, maybe as yet, but I'm a sinner, right? So the Bible says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, right? People in prison, the lawyers dealt with them. Whether they are convicted or they are awaiting a sentence or judgment, the law is dealing with them. Ours is to offer support and love and be able to give them hope. Prisons have been turned into rehabilitation centers. They are no longer dungeons of hell. They are now places where people are reformed, rehabilitated, and when they come back, they must become better people in the society. And that is what inspired me to do the work. So I went to see my Titi. My Titi, I don't condone what she did. She committed a crime, and the law in Zimbabwe was on the side of those who reported it. You understand? And she is serving her time. But it doesn't mean that we must make her an outcast. So I was proud, very, very proud to go see my Titi. And the same way I go and see people that I don't even know. By the way, I've got a very, appealing also as a follower of my Titi, because my Titi, her name is Felicitas. My mother was Felicitas. My daughter is Felicitas. The other name is Tarisai. My mother's name was Tarisai. And I love my Titi. For me, she's real.
You've got a soft spot for her.
Big time.
Let me check my recorder where it is now. Oh, okay, there's so much time. Apart from load shedding, it's now a thing of Southern Africa that you have to suffer load shedding. And then let's talk a little about politics. I know you did tone down, but you always make it clear that you are not neutral politically.
Yes. So I used to love politics. I used to love politics. I was like politically active, and I, from just a member, I rose through ranks to attaining some, highest positions in the youth here in South Africa, and I was a member of the National Council and so on in the opposition politics. I loved politics, and I still love politics right now, though my main focus is really on humanitarian work, but I love politics. And I'm one person who is in the social media platform who does not shy away of saying that I'm politically aligned. I don't know whether this will affect people that may want to work with me or that may want to offer opportunities for me, but for me, I'm very resolute to my understanding, right? And I think I am still opposed to the current government and thereby active with opposition politics at this stage. I don't shy away from it. I say that without any fear or doubt. It does not affect the work that I do. It doesn't affect the person who I am, but it is my understanding that I hope one day maybe Zimbabwe will have a change of leadership and obviously be able to usher citizens with the equal opportunities for everyone. Yeah, but I've toned down on politics. I'm now an ordinary member, obviously. I'm not holding any positions. I'm no longer, like I used to be when before I started humanitarian work. Yeah, so that's why I am.
And also, just a side of a question, did you sleep to Zanu?
No, I didn't.
But everyone believes that you are the one who slept there.
Stop it, Zigu. Guys, I didn't sleep my Makupe. There was no way I could have done that. I never slept Tokozan. And you know what? When it happened, I was actually outside the auditorium. I was actually outside the personal bodyguards of Tokozan. I can tell you the truth. On that very same day, on that very same day or night, that is when I met for the first time Passion Jav.
Yes.
At the HICC. I was actually by the main entrance, by the reception of HICC, trying to book myself for that evening because, my booking had been cancelled online and so on. And that was the last day of that Congress. I'm busy doing that. Then I met also Passion Java and I was busy with photos and all. As I came back, I then saw Makupe coming with personal aids and people she had been slept. That guy who is your inspiration, I think he's your inspiration, Gabab.
Yes, that's my...
God must punish that guy. Because he's the one who came up with that madness. I've never laid my hand even on a fly. I would not do that. I still respect Makupe. Never. I respect women too much. And I'm not a violent person as well. I'm not a violent person. I don't remember in politics anyone I've fought or I've raised my hand for. We might have said things maybe on WhatsApp or on group, but I would never. Makupe was... I respect Makupe. I would never...
And also, I saw a video where you were hugging and embracing Holy 10, even though he had sworn his allegiance to Zanu PF, and you were defending Enzo Aisha. How tolerant are you to people with divergent views politically?
So, because I gave you an opportunity to ask any questions, you're really going so much deep in this.
You should answer.
Okay, no, I will.
Yes.
Look, they don't call me the people's general for nothing.
Yes.
So, because I'm a people's general, I cannot be a people's general for some people's general, I'm a person who believes in diversity. I believe in political tolerance. And for us to talk about tolerance in the country and for us to talk about accepting and, welcoming one another, irrespective of our political affiliation and allegiance, I believe that it should start with me. I'm a firm believer of respecting people's views and opinions. I'm different from so many people who, Akira, if I can put it that way, and want to fight battles that are not even theirs. What happened to what you call him, Holy 10? I was at that show.
Yes,
I was at that show. I don't care what people say. I was at that show. Remember, I was saying to people, I was given VIP ticket for Eureka, and was it Eureka?
Eureka and Sekalas.
Yes, and then I was also given a $10 ticket for the rest of the ground for Sekalas, and I was weighing options. Where should I go to? Because I like Sekalas more, and for me, I really wanted to go to Sekalas. But I ended up going for that VIP. So having attended that show at the HICC, I didn't even know what happened because I was not involved in their politics and so on and so on. And then I got to have people now talking about what happened and so on. I felt Wallington was expressing his views and opinions. The same way anybody can say, I want to be joining Zanu PF right now. I want to be supporting Zanu PF. It doesn't really have to make us enemies. I've supported all artists that come to PE every other time whenever I can, and the promoters can tell you. The very first artist that I've welcomed here in PE was Shinzo. I don't even know what his political affiliation is. So when I was asked by a promoter who is a friend of mine who was promoting that show, DJ Mbodo, to say Woliton is coming, I went because Woliton is a Zimbabwean. If Woliton was to die or succumb to a robbery or be sick or something, as a community leader in South Africa, particularly in PE where he was, I would really help, without asking for political affiliation. So people were saying a lot of things. Even recently, I posted a photo with Fantan at Mashwede where I was beaten by the rogue ZANU PF members and the army, and people were saying, why are you posing on a photo with the Fantan? It was my first time meeting him, but he's a popular figure in Zimbabwe. These photos, we can use them even after 10 years.
Yes.
I don't judge people about their affiliation. So people cannot call me the People's General to suit their needs. I'm People's General for everyone. They don't call me the People's General. Yes. No discrimination for, regardless of race, gender, creed, anything.
And when you say regardless of race, gender, let's talk about your tolerance also on issues of sexuality.
Yes.
I think just 3 to 4 weeks you attended.
Yes, another conversation. Yes, so look, yes, this is what
people who are watching, they don't have context.
Okay, you
attended a birthday party of I'm not sure if he proclaimed, self-proclaimed or what, but there's someone who presents himself in a way that you would question his sexuality, that this one might be a homosexual, this one might be a lesbian or something of that sort. And you know how Zimbabweans view those issues, how sensitive they are. It's quite different from South Africa. The Zimbabweans, they are very particular about issues of sexuality. And here comes the People's General. He graces that event.
Yeah, look, it was very controversial as well. So, because I'm now on the social media platform, I speak to quite a lot of people on the social media platforms, and then I was invited to this birthday party by Chiwitz, right? Ngoma
Chiwitz
Mnandi, yes.
Okay.
Ngoma, please. He extended an invitation and said, that weekend I'm also going to be in Johannesburg because I was going for some other business, but definitely I will attend your birthday because if you extended your invitation, right? They don't call me the People's General for nothing. I can't be a People's General for some people. I must be a People's General for people at large. So when you are invited at a birthday party, if you invite me to your birthday party, I can't dictate your other guests.
No, okay.
You understand? I'm an invited guest. When I come here and there is a person who is maybe my enemy, my enemy is not your enemy.
Yeah.
And I don't know the reason why you have invited this person and also invited me. And I can't say when I come to be there is a person I don't like or that I don't know. So I'm going or I'm not attending anymore. You know, I got there and there were other guests that were invited. Yeah. And who doesn't want to have a picture with the People's General? The same way I would also want to have pictures with anybody. So I would not have selected to say, we have to report in you because there would be controversy. No. I opened myself to photos with everyone and I even posted them myself. Not only did I post, I was live.
Yes, I saw.
I was live. You know, it is not my duty to judge people, Zigo. People have chosen their paths of life. They've took their paths of life. It is not me to judge them. Right? And I don't because the society doesn't like them. You know, I work with an organization called Zimbabwe Migrants and Refugee Support Network.
Yes.
Right? So if these people come to me and they want to be assisted for whatever documentation or whatever that they want to be assisted, I can't send them away and say because this is who you are. No, I'm not a judgmental person. And church does not allow us to do so. I'm a leader in church. Church doesn't allow us to hate. We must spread love. We must preach love. We must embrace people as who they are. If we want them to change, pray for them. Encourage them. So I don't care what people say. I don't care. I am the people's general.
And then you talk about church, I think, as we close. You are an elder in ZAOGA.
Yes.
And have you ever gotten in trouble because of associating yourself with homosexuals, let's say?
Because the church is a place of hope and it welcomes everyone. I've never had a problem with that. I've had a problem in church because of my political affiliation. Obviously, with leaders who comes and goes, some people were not comfortable with my political affiliation, but then it was a long time ago. But tell you what, the late founder of this church and visionary, Baba Guti, wrote a book called Church and Political Responsibility. And each time I had a problem with any leader in church, I would simply refer them to that and say, but if you do not dislike politicians, honestly, why would Baba Guti write such a book? Yeah, but the church is a clinic. It is a place of healing for everyone. If there is anyone whom we know that is a sinner out there, we are all sinners. The role of the church is to pray for everyone and be able to bring them to Christ. So I've never had a problem with the church because of my association with anyone, really absolutely anyone. No, except for that, but it was then, not now. People have understood who we are.
And how did ZAOGA shape the type of person that you are? Were you born in ZAOGA or Magaso join bye?
Yeah, so I was never born in ZAOGA. I became a member of ZAOGA Forward in Faith here in South Africa. But I love this church. This church shaped me to be the person who I am. This church taught us how to work with our own hands. It is in this church where we were even taught how to practice to everyday speak in English here in the foreign land, so that you can be able to relate with others. We were even taught how to work with our own hands, not to rely on your salary. So even as we were working, even when we thought we had better jobs, we were still taught how to work with our own hands through matarenda and so on. And leadership, really, in ZAOGA, we were taught in Forward in Faith, there is leadership, grooming and mentorship in this church. And I would like to think that I am what people see out there because of the mentorship that I got. Right now, I now get opportunities to be trusted even with brands such as Moonlight and so on. It is all that comes from the inspiration and anointing of the ministry.
So do you say you're Baba Guti, Mwarwa Baba Guti as well?
Yes, proudly so. Mwarwa Baba Guti. Mafruz Baba Guti. Yes. Tonight Mwarwa Baba Guti. Mwarwa Mshakavu.
And as we close, congratulations. Now I think you are now working with Moonlight.
Yes.
Yeah, you can give us what they are offering.
All right. Thank you very much. So I would like to take this opportunity once again to thank Moonlight, Dr. Chomi Makina, the visionary and founder of Moonlight, and the entire management for trusting me with the Moonlight Global and Repatriation Plan to be their brand ambassador. Yes, Moonlight offers very cheap and affordable plans for Zimbabweans living in South Africa. Moonlight is the only funeral service provider which understands you even when you have not been able to pay your premiums due to various reasons through our ex gratia plan. So in other words, it's kind of like 3 months because you're not sick, because you are sick and you are not able to pay your plans. Moonlight will still offer you a full service and ensure that you are buried with dignity in Zimbabwe. Moonlight is also the only funeral service provider that has got cashback plan in Zimbabwe. Yes.
Up to how much?
It depends with your plan, but it is the only one that offers that. And our plans are very affordable. It is also the only funeral service provider in Zimbabwe and South Africa which offers a full benefit to even members of your extended family. So in other words, when or akashaya, if they are in your full custody, they are regarded as yours. Avance extended. As long as you provide proof that these are in your custody, you know. Yes, and there's so much more you benefit from Moonlight, and Moonlight is, I think, is a solution that Zimbabweans in South Africa have all been waiting for, and I want to encourage and advise all Zimbabweans across South Africa to take up a policy with Moonlight Final Global Repatriation Plan, because we light your way to final destiny.
The People's Channel, thank you for being on this platform. Why should people follow me?
Follow Zigo because he's controversial. Follow Zigo because he is informative. He brings up the juicy stories as they happen, and because he is real. Look, his platform brings us to touch with the current issues happening across the country. And yeah, you don't just need news that is straightforward every other time. Yes. You know, that is traditional and obvious. Sometimes you want to have another opinion in terms of news. And I think this platform is the right platform. And very convenient.
When are you taking me to for lunch again?
Okay. Oh, by the way, but when are you taking me to lunch?
I'm not taking you to lunch. Let's say I'm not blessed with it.
Yeah, I know very soon I'll take you for lunch, don't worry.
Membero dzangu dzazove pedo muchandishambadza kunge zigo tichakudana ikumabiko.